Hey guys, and welcome to the Andy Campbell Show, episode number 28, only on ACEcast Nation. I'm your host, Si, and I will be joined by ex-Premier League and Championship striker, Mr. Andy Campbell, who we'll meet in a minute, but you can see his pretty face to my left. We are back live, not only on YouTube, but Facebook, so please get involved in the live chat and drop your questions in there for a bit later on in the show, as usual. This show and all the other shows on the channel are available in video format, youtube.com/ACEpodcast and audio podcast platforms everywhere that you could possibly find them. Got a very busy week on Ace Podcast Nation this week with 5 shows coming out. This is the first. Tomorrow, NXT TakeOver Talk with Post Wrestling's Andrew Thompson. Wednesday, the Danny Batten MMA show. Thursday, I've forgotten what it is. Thursday, there's another show. Friday, Welsh boxer, undefeated boxer Cody Davis speaks to us ahead of his fight on Saturday. And Saturday, we have up-and-coming UK indie band, The Crooks, joining us, which I'm very excited about recording tomorrow. We also got plenty of other shows coming up with former Wales defender, Arsenal Cardiff defender, Rhys Weston, former England cricketer, fast bowler, Chris Lewis, and lots of other shows coming up. So, as usual, we'll have any other business. We'll have 2 for 2. We'll talk a bit of this and a bit of that. We'll talk Championship football, and then, of course, we'll finish with some questions and the soon-to-be award-winning 10-second segment that is the FAKE Geordie Bingo Lingo. But I have to clarify that segment is absolutely not built up into a massive thing, only to be literally 5 seconds and then a letdown, because that is not the case. It is soon to be award winning. But with no further ado, let's meet the man himself, the man who provides the insight, the analysis. Some would say an expert. Premier League, Championship player, Cardiff City legend, Boro hometown hero, Fox in the box, speed demon, Davy Jones's favourite son, and still the king of the Millennium Stadium, the goal collector, Mr. Andy Campbell. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm good, yeah. It gets me every time, that. Gets me every time.
Every time.
Every
time. Davy Jones's favourite son. He loved you.
He does.
He loved you.
Of course he does.
He still does.
Of course he does.
He loves you. So, mate, loads to talk about.
Yeah.
Championship is just ridiculous, mate. Even before we talk about everything else, I would love to see someone produce like a winning acca from a championship of just championship matches of like 4 or 5 games, because every week it's just the same thing. It's just
it's a gift. It's a gift what keeps on giving, Sign. It's a gift what keeps on giving. Goals galore. Results are just they're just outrageous. And it's not even like you just said there. You know what I mean? I think you'd be a millionaire if you picked the 7 results correct at the weekend, because some of the odds must have been absolutely frightening with some of the results what were happening around the country. You know what I mean? Obviously, the storm might have played a part. Some may say, but you know what I mean. Cream always rises for me, and can't blame the conditions. It's the same for both teams.
Yeah, it is. It is what it is, isn't it? Like, I don't think you can blame the weather. The only people who blame the weather is Derby County when it snows, but that's another story. That's another story altogether.
Yeah,
you know, it's just impossible to predict, because there's just literally doesn't matter who the teams are, even if it's the teams who look like they were running away with it months ago.
Yeah,
you know, even they're getting done over. The mighty Boro getting done at home.
Yeah, the bottlers picked up 3 points. You know what I mean? There's just some great results. You know what I mean? Some talking points and things we'll go on about over the next couple of hours, and it'll be a very good show. Very, very good show. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, mate. It always is, and it'll be fun if nothing else. So, just before we talk football, when I first started with this podcast, I made the logo out of a famous image of you from back in the Millennium Stadium, as it were. Yeah. And I think it was the Millennium Stadium, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And I kind of played about with it on my phone and just kind of whipped it out of nothing. But seeing as the show's kind of grown and gets viewed and downloaded thousands of times a week, I thought, we'll get something new done. We'll have a nice new logo, shiny logo. So we're gonna bring that out now. Now, hopefully, when I put this on the screen, it's not gonna just crash the whole stream and we'll go offline, and then that'll be the end of this week's show. Hopefully, if it does go offline, we'll be back in a second. But let's have a look. If I had a drum roll, I would play the drum roll, but I don't. So there we go. We'll see. Let's have a look. He says, "Let's see. Will it work?" Something's happening.
Yeah, I can see something happening.
I'll take that off now.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Just take off that.
As good as that.
New logo.
All over it.
Yeah. So
love that.
As people join and they catch up and that, tell us what you tell us if you like it. Tell us what you think. Not that I'm going to change it or anything if you don't like it, but the stuff.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
New logo. I like it too.
I like it.
It's cool. And the guy who made it, SSJ Designs, and you can find him on Twitter, is at SSJ Designs _. And he's top guy. And he was so helpful. Like, he proper, just was to my every whim and alteration. He couldn't do enough. And I highly recommend him. And I'm going to get him to make some other logos for me for Unscripted and Uncensored and the Danny Batten Show and some others, just because I was so happy with his work. It was incredible. So, mate, let's get into the to any other business. And what you got to start?
I think there's only one place to start, and that would be the FC Porto game, which was yesterday against away from home at Guarmes, I think it was, and the incident was centre forward for FC Porto was getting racially abused from the first minute, and he took it, he scored his goal, and continued to get racially abused, and then decided enough was enough, so he was going to storm off and take a stand. And his own players, by the way, let me state that tried to stop him. Looked like they were angry with him, frustrated with him, tried to stop him on a number of occasions, because it happened over the far end. And even when he came over to the members of staff, he was still adamant he wanted to go off. He wasn't happy that he was being made to subject this kind of torment. And in the end, he was substituting. Somebody came on. The problem I've got with this side, I just think it's absolutely disgusting. You know what I mean? I thought we'd covered this 10 times over, and we never had to cover it again. But when it comes to your own team backing your own player, that's another level for me. And FC Porto players, every single one of them who went over to him and tried to get him to carry on should be absolutely ashamed of themselves straight after that game for trying to get him to do it, because they've got to put his feelings in their own shoes. And how would they feel? Would they expect the rest of the team to jump on board and walk off? You know what I mean? Because that's for me, that's the message we've got to send out. You know what I mean? They were winning 2-1. Would it have been different if they were getting beat 2-1? Would they all have walked off and took a stand? You know what I mean? For me, the manager should have said to all the players, everybody off. We were making a stand. It's one of our players. We've got to support him. And I just felt really sorry for the boy. That, you know what I mean? We're in 2020, Si, you know, and it's still going on, and I can't see it going away anytime soon unless somebody makes a proper stand. And that was an opportunity. The player was going off anyway, so for me, the rest of the team should have done it. FC Porto, massive club in the world, they could have made a huge stance against racism, and now Costa didn't. I think it's just gonna linger on and carry on, because if FC Porto don't kick racism out, then who's gonna? You know what I mean? I just think it's a disgusting situation that we've been left with, and you know what I mean, that FC Porto just caused their own problems for me.
Yeah, spot on, mate. If I was him, I'd be proper pissed off with my teammates.
Yeah, I would.
The manager should have just brought him off.
I agree, man. I agree.
Couple of viewers there like the logo.
Yeah,
couple of viewers
straight away.
Like the logo, which is good. Liking that. Yeah, I just think that was not the most disappointing thing, because obviously it's the most disappointing thing that is still going on. But like, to have his teammates not back him, and there was one player who looked annoyed that he was going off as well.
Yeah,
like it wasn't just a fact of like he didn't want to go off himself, sort of thing. He looked genuinely annoyed that he wasn't going off with, like he was causing a problem for the team. And it's like, people will keep doing it, and if you do, unless you make a stand, that was the opportunity there and then. Big, Porto, one of the biggest teams in Europe. That was the chance to really make a stand, and
it'll be interesting to see what happens now, moving forward. Now is who's going to get punished? Will a player get punished for walking off the pitch because you're not allowed to walk off? You know what I mean? Because his players, the rest of his team didn't walk off. Is the other side supporters going to get the club going to get punished? I just think FC Porto for the way that they did it are going to, it's going to cause another problem, because they should have all just make a stand and walked off and help him out in the change room and potentially come back on. And if he's not in a good frame of mind and he's not ready to come back, then you play the rest of the game without him. But you all make the stand at the same time, and you know what I mean. It's one in. Somebody sent some out on Twitter this morning about one in, all in, and I'm all for that. You know what I mean. One in, all in. That's it. Is a little brawl in the pitch. You're one in, all in. If somebody walks off the pitch, you're one out, all out. It's that simple in football, and you know what I mean. And Gaz there, you know, I absolutely agree. You know, that's a good, really good word. And the cowardly behaviour by FC Porto players there, and you know what I mean. And if you were that player who's walked off the pitch side, could you go into battle, into war next weekend with those same bunch of players? Because I'd question if they were going to back me again. So I'd be wanting to jump ship as soon as I possibly could.
Yeah, and the other thing, he got booked as well by the referee, by the way.
I know.
Got booked for
it's disgusting.
Going to leave the pitch.
Yeah, it's disgusting, side, because we you know what I mean, and it'll I think this moves nicely onto another point, which happened over the weekend as well, and it was in the Championship. So it's a story which is close to what we've been covering all season. Derby County against Huddersfield Town, and the commentator on BBC, it was BBC Derby Radio anyway, but it was ex-professional footballer, played for Derby County with Craig Ramage. Made a comment which went on the lines of all the young black players need pulling down a peg or two, and I'm hoping Craig's point was that all young lads need to be pulled down a peg or two, that they're too big for the boots. But using that one word has just absolutely just made a mockery of Derby County again, of commentators probably in general, of probably any kind of football show, you know what I mean? Because it just tarnishes everybody with the same brush. That you know what I mean? This is ex-professional footballer, a Derby County supporter, I'm guessing, a Derby County follower, somebody who goes to all the games and reports to all the games, and to use racist slurs and racist comments is absolutely disgusting. And for the BBC to sack him straight away, which is fantastic, by the way. So I really support what they've done. But you know, young players, fullback Max Lowe had to come out really and hit back straight away, and shouldn't be judged by the colour of his skin. And you know what I mean, it shouldn't. A young player shouldn't have to come out and back himself, or you know what I mean, back the colour of his skin. You know what I mean, because when it happens for, like you've just said, one of the biggest clubs in Europe, and all of a sudden it happens to a young player at Derby County who's just plying his trade and starting a career out for himself, he shouldn't have to endure racist slurs from his own commentary team and somebody who gives him praise or slags him off every other Saturday or every Saturday. So you know what I mean. So fair play to BBC Radio, but something again that side what shouldn't be happening, something what we shouldn't again be having to talk about, but unfortunately we are, and hopefully people learn from this, especially TV pundits, radio pundits, commentators, newspapers, and just support players who need to support, and especially after what's gone on the weekend, because somebody gets racially abused, you know what I mean, they might go home and you know what I mean, and have bad thoughts and do something stupid, and you know what I mean, and Craig Ramage, if somebody did do something stupid, he would have to live that for the rest of his life. And you know what I mean, if people are going to make these comments, they've got to be ready for the backlash of it. You know what I mean, if that's losing a job, if that's being called a racist, if whatever's worse, you know that. You know, people should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. I'm ashamed to have played against Craig and to now to do our own football show, and for people to say that you know what I mean, that football's full of racists and football, you know what I mean. You read Twitter and people say, well, commentators say it all the time. Ron Atkinson did it, and on ITV. I'm going back years. We're talking about years now, and it shouldn't happen in 2020. Si.
Yeah, and like I said to you before we went live, is when Roy Keane criticised those Man United players on MUTV and he got sacked and stuff. Can you imagine the outcry if, like, he had said like the black players need to stop being so flash or this and that. But I don't know what he was thinking. Like, you'd like to think that he, I don't know. I can't even explain like what he was thinking, because I'm assuming that his point was that like young players generally, but why he had to bring in, race and colours beyond me. And it's like the first two stories we talked about is about like incidents of racism again. And I feel like it's almost been like every other week we've had to talk about this in one way or another, whether it's with England and Bulgaria, or whether it's like in Russia, or is it England, or it's just ridiculous.
And this is me sounding disrespectful and going against the grain. You know what I mean? I'm very anti-racism. You know what I mean? But it's getting boring now that we're talking about it. You know what I mean? And people who are bringing it up all of the time and doing it, you know what I mean? It's just they need to be well away from society. Never mind football. It's not just a football thing. It's a society thing, and something that people just need to let go and just let people get on with their lives. And it's just embarrassing side that they bring it up. You know, it's yet again, I'll use that word what Gaz do use there. It's cowardly. It's a cowardly act. You can stand behind a computer, mobile phone, commentator microphone and say what you want. Unfortunately, you can't say what you want because people have got feelings, and you know what I mean. He's done what he's done, and rightly so. He's been sacked for it.
Yeah, I BBC probably didn't have a great deal of choice in the matter, but BBC are not always the greatest in terms of how they react to these things. So I suppose they deserve a certain amount of credit for reacting quickly to it and, doing the right thing. There was no other option. You had to go. It's just really disappointing from an ex-player who knows what it's like to receive like just general abuse from the terraces or from the media. For him to do it, I think, is almost like worse, because he knows what it's like to be under the spotlight, and he knows what it's like to have people, like thousands of people, screaming at you when you make a mistake or this or that. But so one of the other big stories of the week was Man City got a 2-year ban from, I think it was Champions League football, was it?
Yeah.
Gonna end up occurring.
I'm just
before we go into the ad.
Go on, mate.
You go.
No, go on, carry on.
I was just going to say.
Go on.
I was just going to say before we go into like the actual ban and that, the reason that this all came to light is because this guy from the football website, it's called Football Leaks, basically, like a play on WikiLeaks, I'd assume. And what they did is this guy hacked the emails and this, that, and the other of Man City, and he exposed various discrepancies and rule breaking and dodgy stuff. He's currently in prison in Porto. He was extradited from, I forget the country, but he was extradited to Portugal. He's currently in jail in Portugal for hacking or whatever they've charged him with. They've taken all his possessions. He hasn't got a lawyer, and they've taken his notebook and everything off him. And I just think, like, yeah, all right, he's broken the law. He has. But if he's exposed them, considering, all right, put it another way, considering the human rights violations which go on under the associations of the owners of Man City, do we really need to be punishing that guy and leaving him in jail with, no lawyer and no, like, pretty much taking away his right to defense or having a decent defense, when everyone's up in arms that Man City are going to have a 2-year ban from the Champions League, which they probably won't even have anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. That frustrates me a bit. I feel like it's all a bit backwards.
I just don't get the whole situation side for me, because it's we're on about financial fair play or whatever we're on about as well. You know what I mean? And it's supposed to happen all over the place. There's ways and means of getting around everything, and unfortunately, it's happening. It happened in the Championship with Derby County, apparently. It can happen in the Champions League, and it can happen with the world's best. There's ways of getting around everything. And if there's means, there's a way. You know what I mean? And these people, they're all businessmen. At the end of the day, they all know their stuff. They know exactly what they're doing. And the Court of Arbitration will be getting appealed left, right, and centre from Manchester City. I'm guessing straight away, because you know what I mean. We're talking about a business side in a football club now, where players are only at Manchester City so they can play in the Champions League. You know, so you know what I mean. I read a story. It was the day before. The story came out, and it was Sergio Aguero said that he's not leaving Man City until they win the Champions League. Well, I'm not sure how many years he's got left, but he probably doesn't have 3 years left in him at Man City. So, you know what I mean? If they do get banned for 2 years, I'm guessing that he either stays and enjoys his trying to win the title off Liverpool, or he leaves and goes to another country or another club and moves on. But I honestly can't see it happening. But you never know. It's same as racism size. Someone's got to throw the book at somebody down the line, and someone's going to be the fall guy somewhere down the line for something. And if that's Man City for this, if that's the Portuguese league for racism, you know what I mean? Then so be it, because someone's got to be the fall guy for all these things that are happening at the minute.
Well, Med, we did a whole show on the Salah book. And I think we spent 30 minutes of a 75-minute show talking about Willie Mackay and how dodgy he was, and how openly it's known that he's working still, like as recently as 2 weeks ago.
Deadline day.
Ago, even 2 weeks ago on deadline day, that he was still working on transfers in France, even though in France he's actually banned from working on transfers. But it's open; everybody knows. But no one's doing anything about it.
Yeah.
No
football clubs know, chairmen know, businessmen know, fans know, the whole of football knows. You know what I mean? But like you say, he's allowed to do it. He's not being stopped from doing it, and it's same as anything. It leaves a massive bad taste in your mouth, and it just shows how much at the minute football it just stinks.
Oh, big time. I find it depressing, mate. I think, like, we talk about how the fans are taken away from the game these days, and there's a gap between the players and the fans. But I don't think it's the players. I think it's partially the money involved, but I think it's the corrupt side of it as well. Fans don't feel a part of it because there's so much money involved, and the people they see, the people who run football clubs, they see how they behave and act, and they don't feel an affinity to that. You know, like I don't want to speak for Manchester City fans. Okay, for instance, there's plenty of other clubs that you could use as an example. But if I was a Man City fan, yes, I'd be thrilled that the owners are putting billions of pounds into the club, the area, the training ground, blah, blah, blah. But I wouldn't feel any affinity to them as people, because I know what they do on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And the things, the people they hurt and the things which go on, I don't want anything to do with that. So that straight away would take away like a part of my love, or like my thing towards the club. Like even for myself, I don't feel the same way about Cardiff City that I did before the rebrand. That changed the way I felt about it forever. I really don't feel, maybe it will change when the owners change and things, but at the moment I still do not feel the same way that I did then.
I think it shows you,
that's nothing to do with the players.
No, exactly. But it shows you, how easy it was, how easy that was done at Cardiff City, and that could be done for any other side, any other team. So if that can be done to Cardiff City, it can be done to anybody. You know what I mean? So it just shows how much football has evolved, how much football is a business, and obviously supporters need to be very grateful and very thankful that their football clubs. You know what I mean? That's why I I think they got it middle because we've got the best chairman in the world, and you know what I mean. He sounds like he's never going to sell a football club, which is great. But when you listen to supporters wanting the club to move on because he's took the club as far as it can go, you know what I mean. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be a football club. So people need to be. The grass isn't always greener, you know what I mean. You look at other football clubs and they move stadiums. They run like a business, you know. Newcastle just down the road, you know what I mean. It's a really, really poorly run football club in the Premier League, but it's making money. Do you know what I mean? Are you looking for a football club which makes money, or are you looking for a football club which is a family football club and something that you can get your teeth into and enjoy every other Saturday?
Yeah, spot on, mate. And like Gaz, Johnny Wish just said, William Mackay was the core, and Gaz Cubbins, was it? Gaz Cubbins says Gold and Sullivan. I'm assuming he means like owners who are just destroying clubs, and fans feel helpless to do anything about it.
Yeah.
I could do a whole show on football owners, and I have got one planned eventually down the line. So moving on, there was a couple of subjects last week which we didn't get to, so we're going to cover them very briefly. We got there's a lot of rumours about Messi to the Premier League, obviously with his he's got this clause in his contract which means he can leave for free at the end of this year. Do you see it happening?
I think we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see what happens to Manchester City, because for me that was probably an open invitation that if he's going to go anywhere, Pep would have played a big part in where he went. You know what I mean? So if he would come to the Premier League, where would he go? I can't see probably past Manchester City. He wouldn't go anywhere else in Spain. You know what I mean? Italy looks like the place to go, Si, for me at the minute, with Inter Milan taking over and doing really well.
Him play to Juventus play with Ronaldo.
You know what I mean? Ronaldo. You know what I mean? So and thing is, never say no, because I never saw Cristiano leaving, and I never thought he would leave. So for me, it's does he need to go? I don't believe he does. You know what I mean? People are questioning him. He can't be called great until he's tried other leagues or he's won a major tournament, i.e. with his country. But you know what I mean? He's not playing in an era where I think Argentina are probably going to win it, because there's too many other strong countries with 7, 8, 9, 10 strong players in it. You know what I mean? Where Argentina, you know what I mean? You take Messi out that side, it's pretty probably, it's really weak. But you know what I mean? So do I think he'll leave? I think if he's gonna go, he'll go to Man City. But do I think it'll happen? I think it's a massive long shot.
I think there's only a handful of clubs who can afford him. And I'd say Man City, Man United, Chelsea, and probably Juventus. I don't think the Milan clubs could afford him. Don't think a French or PSG. I don't think any Portugal clubs can. He wouldn't go anywhere else in Spain.
No.
I think the only way he would go to Man United is if, one, they got in the Champions League, and if Pochettino took over. I don't see him going there if Solskjaer's there. I know another subject which you put on the docket for last week was former Premier League players who are flourishing in Europe now, who perhaps didn't do so well in the Premier League.
Yeah, like I look at Di Maria at PSG. Watched the game last week against Lyon, and he just ripped it up. He's playing against good players. Dembele played for Lyon, obviously ex-Fulham, and then before he went to Celtic, he didn't do it at Fulham. And you know, I took him a couple of moves before. Now he's flourishing again. Lukaku, I thought, really struggled at Old Trafford last week. He led the line really well. He looks fitter. He looks healthy. He's scoring goals. He's leading the line really well. Ibrahimovic, you know. The list endless, you know what I mean? And my concern is are these kind of players now venturing elsewhere and going elsewhere? You know what I mean? Like Jadon Sancho playing and still playing in Germany, where if the Premier League was the place to be, why hasn't he come over? You know what I mean? He's had his probably grounding in at Dortmund and could come over to the Premier League and play week in, week out and flourish. But
it's Man City let him go, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Man City had him.
He's choosing to stay there because he's happy. He's enjoying his football. He's playing in a competitive league. He's playing in the Champions League and in Europe, and you know what I mean. He's getting paid handsomely well. So why would he bother coming back over to England? You know, for me, it's not as big a carrot as it used to be.
Yeah, no, you're right. One thing I would say about Di Maria is people, I think, particularly because the way he left, I think people forget how good he was for Man United. Okay. He was actually very good. And if you remember, I think it was against Leicester, that goal he scored where he like scooped it over the keeper after an unbelievable skill.
Yeah.
And I think people sometimes get it mixed up that he left because someone broke into his house. And I think his missus might have been there when he was playing football.
Yeah.
And they never felt safe again in the area, which I'm sure most husbands and fathers can relate to that.
Yeah.
And then obviously,
especially as a player, he's probably playing at Man United at the time. They're in Europe. You know what I mean? He's probably out the house, probably half the week, if not more. Some weeks. You know what I mean? So he's away worrying of his family and his kids being in the house on their own. You know what I mean? It's not. Forget about money. You know what I mean? Because you can have all the security systems in the world. You know what I mean? But people are genuinely scared when your house gets broken in. It was just one of those. It's one of those not nice things, and it's just and like you say, you know what I mean. He was for me. He was flourishing. He was doing really well, but he's gone to another level now. It's at PSG. Yes, the league's easier, relatively along the season, but you know, he's still got the big games. He's still got the Champions League, but he's still choosing to perform. You know what I mean? He's still pulling out regular performances, scoring goals. He's keeping out. Who they've got now? They've got Cardiff, they've got Cavani, they've got Mbappe, they've got Neymar. He's the first attacking name on the team sheet. You know what I mean? So Neymar doesn't play week in, week out. Cavani doesn't play. You know what I mean? It's him and Mbappe play the two attackers out of the three. So you've got one of the other big names, Icardi, Cavani, and Neymar playing alongside those two, and that's a credit to how good he must be.
Yeah, sorry, I just put up the same message again. Jamie says something, but I can't get up. He says that De Bruyne had to leave Chelsea to prove his worth, and then come back. Jamie also asked, do you think Neymar has fallen behind other top players because he's gone to PSG? Now, that is a flipping cracking question.
Yeah. I think it's true.
Great question.
But it's true though, Si. I think he has, because you know what I mean. He doesn't have to play week in, week out. You know, when he was at Real Madrid, when he was at Barcelona, he had to play week in, week out. He had to perform week in, week out. The pressure was there. I don't think the pressure's the same at a PSG. You know what I mean, in France, because you know what I mean. They probably don't even need to win week in, week out. They need to win enough games to win the league, and then they probably need to win a cup. And on top of that, they want to do well in the Champions League, but. It's the pressure's not as big as other clubs.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't think he's got the mentality to be a Messi or a Ronaldo. I think he's an exceptional player, and I think he could be that level. I don't think he's got the same mentality as them in terms of his work rate and his, like, Cristiano Ronaldo gets criticised for his teamwork, if you like, but I don't believe that for a second, because when you look at what the work he did for Fergie, going back and doing defensive work, you can see that someone doesn't put in the hours that he does if they don't believe in teamwork.
Yeah. On paper, he's one of the best players in the world. So you know what I mean. He's there on merit. He's there to be shut down.
Still,
you know what I mean. So for me, he's earned that right to miss games, or he's earned that right to have a bad game. But we want to see him perform. We want to see him showboat. We want to see him doing the best he can be, and that's on the football pitch. But we want to see it at the best level, not just on Champions League nights. We want to see it in a different league, and I'd love him to come over to England, but I can never see that happening.
Right.
I don't think.
Is a question for you then. Lastly, on this subject, would you like to see Messi and Ronaldo both play for Juventus next year? Just one season of them together, with the legend that is Aaron Ramsey playing just behind.
Oh well, of course. Yeah, the thing is, also, I think it'd have to be. You'd have to be probably blind to say no, because you'd be so intrigued about what was going to come. You know what I mean? They'd probably the competition between themselves inside the changing room would be who's going to score the most goals. You know what I mean? So it'd be a competition like it's been for two clubs, but in one club, and it'd be interesting to see how they got on and off the pitch. But no, I'd like to see it.
Absolutely. Guys, obviously we're going to move into the championship games now. Just wanted to say, if you want any questions answering at the end of the show, just send them in. We're going to be covering all the championship games now, and then we'll do our 2 for 2s. We'll do our fake Geordie Bingo Lingo. We'll answer the questions. We'll also be naming it. Oh, Andy's disappeared. Where's he gone? There he is. And we'll also last week Johnny Wish, I think it was Johnny, asked us to pick. So he asked me to pick the England Euro squad as of today, and he asked Andy to pick the Welsh squad as of today. So we can't pick any injured players and stuff. So we're going to do that at the end of the show as well, while Andy adjusts his microphone and whatnot. What are you up to, mate?
I can't hear you, Si, for some reason.
Can
I'm
you
not
hear
sure
me?
why.
Interesting twist. Let's have a look. Ooh. Take oh, you can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Go in a chat, mate. Right. Anyway, I'll keep going as we go. Break down the championship games, and we're gonna talk our main 3 games. I think it's the Boro game, the Cardiff game, and the Fulham game. And then we are gonna just send Andy a message, tell him to take your headphones out. And take your headphones out, mate. Someone text him. So yeah, we're going to talk the main games, and then we're going to go from there. We're going to do some bits and pieces. He's not going to see that. Right. I'll send him a text now. Come on, man. Take him, unplug him. The joys, the people, this is the joys of live podcasting. The joys of live podcasting. So, yes, here we go. We're going to move into that. I'm going to pick my England squad, and Andy's going to pick
Still can't hear you.
his Welsh squad. Go with there. Unplug your headphones, man. So Andy's disappeared for a little bit. We can now see my back door. This is the joys. So send me some questions then, guys. Send me some, right, Jamie, Gaz, whoever, send me some questions to keep us going. Well, Andy's going to come back in now. He's stressing now. You're going to see Andy Campbell meltdown. So yeah, guys, send me some questions, and we'll just rattle through some stuff while we wait for Andy to rejoin us.
Sorted. Hear me now.
Oh dear, the joys of being alive.
I know.
This is why we need a producer. I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can't hear me, can you?
Yeah, I can now.
Right. There's a private chat thing on the side, so you can text me.
Yeah, I know, but I thought
I messaged you, and
yeah, I know, but you messaged me. That's your fault, not mine.
I know.
All right, yeah.
I said to you, I was trying to say to you, just unplug your headphones completely.
Yeah, I tried, but it still wouldn't.
And just do the sound through the thing.
It's because somebody rang me. That's what it was. Somebody rang me on my phone. It came off my iPad, so
how dare they?
And I know I'm doing it as well.
Tell them, don't they know? Live every Monday.
They know.
You should name and shame them.
Yeah, Martin Spate. You know it.
Oh, okay, right. Just before we go into the championship games, Jamie is spamming us with questions, and he just asks, "Who are your top 5 players in the world for us?" Go on, and you name your 5.
Ronaldo, Messi, Hazard. Oh God, it's got to be Neymar. For me, I still think Gareth Bale's got to be in there because of how he's done it. Yeah, it's just. I can't see past it. For me, the generation hasn't changed. I mean, people might not be playing, but for me, that's top 5. All attackers, but still.
I would say Ronaldo, Messi, Bale, top 3. I would then say Paul Pogba should be number 4, but he's not for whatever reason.
Forgot him as well.
Mbappe, and then. It's difficult. No, there's a couple of boys at Juventus I quite like, and PSG.
Yeah.
And I like the young boy at Real Madrid. I forget his name, but yeah, I think it's the usual suspects still at the moment.
Yeah.
I've never been De Bruyne, maybe.
You can't get away from this side, though.
obviously,
You can't get away from the usual suspects. You can't get away
yeah,
from
I think the other one, which the obvious omission is Joe Bennett, but obviously,
of
apart
course,
from that,
Joe Bennett and Joe Rolls, but we'll leave them out just for now.
yeah, they can pay us later.
Double Joe.
Double Joe. So for people joining us a little bit late, you can watch it. We revealed our new logo, which you'll see just kind of. I can't work because I'm reversed. No,
up
that way.
There.
Up there you go. New logo. And tell us what you think of that. Give the video a thumbs up. And leave some comments, ask some questions. And we're going to get into the Championship football now. But I will just say one last thing. At the start of last week, I launched, because people have been asking, I launched a merch store, which is teespring.com/stores Ace Podcast Nation. But I'm not plugging it to get people to buy it other than for the next 7 days from tonight, 20 to 8, Monday night. Any T-shirts or merch, anything which is bought, my cut of that is going to go to the victims of the flooding in the Rhondda Valleys. So I urge you all to buy the stuff for that reason only. But apart from that, that's the store. I'll put the links. The links will be in the description and everything. I think they already are as well. But that's what that's where that money will be going for the next week. Every bit of merch which is sold, which will go to those people, because I can't even imagine what they're going through.
Great gesture, Si. Great gesture. Great gesture.
Thanks, mate. I literally thought of it as we come on air. And I just think I'm lucky. I live in centre of Cardiff, but we drove up to my in-laws yesterday, and we drove past the river and seen how violent and roaring they were. And I just thought, and I saw the pictures of the pitches which my boys played on last week, and they're completely a foot underwater. And I just thought, geez. Yeah. And then you see pictures of people living up in Ponty, and my boys play for Taftswell, and there's people in Taftswell. I know the youngsters from Taftswell and the coaches on Friday night are going up to Taftswell village to help people, whether they need to go in because they've lost vehicles, or they're going to go and help them tidy up the parks, tidy up the houses. I think that's an amazing gesture by Taftswell Academy as well. So shouts out to them. Just a quick check, mate. Have you done your Welsh squad?
Yes, I have. Of course I have.
So have I, and I'm totally not researching it as we're doing the show.
What, your Welsh one?
Totally not, because I'm a professional.
You haven't done the Welsh one, have you? You've done the English one.
Yeah, I got an easy one, haven't I? I got 3 million players to pick from. You've got 20.
Yeah, I've gone. Yeah,
you've got some cracking youngsters, mate. I hope you've done your research, because if you leave out some of those youngsters, people will be fuming.
I have. I think I've picked a good side. It's very, very offensive. Very offensive squad.
Right, that makes a change. Every time we picked our Championship team of the year, and it was one goalkeeper and 10 strikers. And then the other week when we picked our all-time Welsh and English 11, it was Neville Southall and then 10 strikers.
That's why I got the sack, Si. That's why I got the sack.
No imagination.
Good going forward, just rubbish in defence.
Right, let's get on to these bloody Championship games, or we'll never get there after Andy tried to quit the podcast in the middle of it. So first game we got is Boro versus Luton Town. I forgot who they were playing then.
Yeah.
Your team?
Yeah, not good, mate. Not good at all.
I know you're not happy.
No. To be honest, I was quite looking forward to the game. I thought it was a perfect team at the perfect time. Middlesbrough on a really bad run. Luton don't travel well at all. They let goals in for fun. I thought Luton started really well. They started on the front foot. They looked solid in shape. I thought Potts down the left hand side was excellent. Loire, every time he got the ball, he was taking people on and driving in the box. Conditions were not great, but for both sides, and the way that Luton tried to play football, it was probably a bigger effect on the way they played than the way Middlesbrough. But Luton went ahead from Potts on the left hand side with a great run, great ball, missed by everybody, and then Tunnicliffe volleyed home, which caught Ainsley Pears out a little bit at the far post. I think I've got no blame to him. It was a poor goal to give away from a defensive point of view, but no blame on the goalkeeper. Middlesbrough lacked massive ideas going forward, Si. You know what I mean? They had no creativity. The bench was very strong, which is nice to see, but it doesn't matter. You can't create chances on the bench. And I've had a few arguments on social media about Middlesbrough's lack of creativity and people saying Ravel Morrison's the answer. Well, if he is, he needs to start, because how on earth anybody can score goals or set chances up when you sat on the bench that must be a first for me, because every time I was sat on the bench, I didn't do anything. He needs to be given 10, 15 games and thrown at the deep end and just be given an opportunity for me, and then we can make a decision on him. Patrick Roberts was injured, so obviously that had an impact. Bit of Sombalonga came on, Rudy Gestead came on, and Middlesbrough then just lacked ideas, played into Luton Town's hands, and the way that Luton have come up through the league side, the long balls forward, they were eating them up all day long, and they broke away a couple of times and probably deserved a second, but they fully deserved the 3 points. And I was pleased with Graham Jones. I thought they really deserved the 3 points. But Middlesbrough against Luton Town. Luton Town have taken 4 points off Middlesbrough this season. That is a horrific stat from a massive football club and the two football clubs. But the way that I looked at it, and I said on Saturday night on social media, that for me it's not an upset. It's just the way that the football's gone, and the way that football's evolved at Luton against Middlesbrough now is not an upset. Luton Town beating Middlesbrough, and hopefully one day that the tides might turn again, and Middlesbrough will be far superior than Luton. But what I've seen this season, and especially Saturday, that Luton fully deserved what they got from the Riverside.
Yeah, Ravel Morrison. The same thing happened at Cardiff. He came to Cardiff on loan, and I was so excited because I'd seen him play youth games, and I was so excited. And then they never played him. Now, all right, maybe his attitude is not the greatest, but if you're going to bring him in on loan and you're going to sign a player who you know isn't going to train really, really hard, might be a bit stroppy if you tell him off or whatever, you're not signing him because of that. You're signing him because you know that he is a game changer if you can get him playing.
Yeah.
And Middlesbrough, even if they didn't start him because he's not 100% fit, they had to bring him on with 20 minutes to go. Had to. There's no excuse for it.
Yeah. But you can't sign somebody on reputation alone. You know what I mean? And you can't sign a player hoping that you're the manager who's going to get a tune out of Ravel Morrison. You know what I mean? That no one's been able to do it. And I've said this I've said it for years. So, you know what I mean? When he was a kid, I saw him as a kid, and I thought he was excellent. I really did. But what is he, 27, 28-year-old? You know what I mean? He's flattered to deceive at football clubs, and he's underperforming. And I so hope he can turn his fortunes round and Middlesbrough's fortunes round, and because all of a sudden Middlesbrough found themselves in absolute dire straits and in danger again from Christmas time, when they're beating top of the league and running sides close and on a good run and scoring goals and creating chances. It's caused a problem, and I'm hoping that signing a player who's got a bad reputation when things aren't going great, that it doesn't have a bigger impact on younger players and on the football club as a whole, really.
Yeah, I think so. It's strange because Boro did really, really well of late. What is interesting to me is that they were not very good against Luton, but Luton, what a week for them! What a week!
Well, the manager's interview
really put himself suddenly back in with a chance of staying up.
Yeah, beat Sheffield Wednesday 1-0 clean sheet. Beat Middlesbrough away 1-0 clean sheet. The manager said that it's the two perfect results. You know what I mean? Well, when I managed, I'd prefer to win 4-0 to be fair, but I know what he means. You know what I mean? You get a lot of satisfaction out of winning 1-0 clean sheets. That everyone does a job, and it shows the togetherness. But you know what I mean? It just shows how tight the league is, side, because they've got 6 points out the last 6 games and they're still in trouble. You know, so it shows how much work still to do. But if they can show the togetherness that they showed this week, then, and especially performance on Saturday, they'll have an opportunity to stay up. But they need to continue it. You know what I mean? They can't rest on the laurels and hope that they manage to get out of it, because you look at Barnsley won, Wigan got a positive result, Stoke City were 2-0 up, Huddersfield got a positive result just above them. So, you know what I mean? It's about winning sometimes at the right time. And yes, it sounds really stupid, but on Saturday, probably wasn't the time to win, because when everyone else winning, you don't gain any ground. Where if you can pick 6 points up when other teams lose week in, week out, then the league looks a little bit brighter and a little bit better. But you know what I mean, they've got to make sure that they beat the sides in and around them, Luton Town, and they have a little mini league table themselves, because if they beat the Huddersfields, the Middlesbroughs, the Barnsleys, the Stoke Cities, then they'll stay up. But if they lose or don't win those games, you know what I mean, it'll be difficult for them to stay up.
Yeah, have you spoken to Mr. Woodgate about signing Ravel Morrison?
No, not about that. Not about that. No, and you know what I mean. I think basically it was what was available at the time, loan wise, because the club weren't in a finals position to go and spend any money. So, you know what I mean. He was a Premier League, coming from a Premier League side, and for me, it was a no brainer. You couldn't really lose with the deal. What was put on the table? It's free. It's a player of undoubted ability on his day, but still waiting, and I'm
Well, he
hoping.
can't. The thing is, mate, he can't do anything off the bench.
Yeah, well, exactly.
If he stays on the bench.
And that's what I said. You know, I mean, that was my point yesterday. You know, what I mean, when a few people were getting a little bit irate with what I said about Middlesbrough's lack of creativity. But how, you know, what I mean, I never ever scored a goal when I was sat on the bench, ever.
Nope.
You know what I mean? I
can't score a goal if you don't shoot either.
Exactly. So I scored a goal when I was allowed to come off the substitutes bench, when I was on the pitch of play. You know what I mean? So if you sat there on your backside and you've got your substitute on, you're never going to score. You're never going to create a chance. You need to be playing week in, week out. And if you're coming on for 10, 15 minutes, pointless, because it's so hard to sometimes come into a game when you're getting beat under pressure. You know what I mean? And he's coming with a reputation that he comes on the pitch with 15, 20 minutes to go. Fans are expecting him to score a hat-trick. It doesn't work like that. Football's not that easy. It's not that easy, especially at the Championship level against Luton Town, who are quite stubborn with the way that they play. So it's a difficult one moving forward. The Middlesbrough Football Club needs to make sure that they stay in the league. I still said all alongside that I'd be happy for the club to come out and say, as long as you stay up, it's been a success. Because I would see this season as a massive success if they stayed in the Championship, because they're dicing with it at the minute again. They're dicing with you're on a bad run at the wrong time. And they can't afford to carry this run on, because if they're not careful, Huddersfield will overtake them. Stoke, I don't know what's going on with Stoke City, but we'll go on about that later on. But others below them are picking up, you know. So it's the Middlesbrough is just lucky that there's some poor teams behind them, but those poor teams beat them. Yeah. So it's difficult one to take.
Yeah, I find it really interesting. Johnny says that Luton staying up would be the ultimate and great escapes, which I think where they were is probably not far off. Actually,
I think the size of the football club, for me, the size of the football club, they should, no disrespectful to Luton Town, Kenilworth Road, wages, budgets. Luton Town should never be able to compete in the Championship with what they've got. You know what I mean? They haven't really bought in loads of players, big squads, and what are they? A few points away from Stoke City. Stoke City's budgets must be one of the biggest in the league. So it's chalk and cheese, both of them, so two sides. And Middlesbrough's, Huddersfield's, do you know what I mean? Even Barnsley, to a degree, Wigan, you know what I mean? They've got a decent sized budget. It's you know what I mean? They're punching against some massive sides down below. So you know what I mean? If they can get out of it, it'll be an unbelievable achievement for everybody concerned with the football club.
Yeah. It will be impressive, I got to say, if they stay up. I like I said, very surprised by Middlesbrough, because they've been so improved recently.
Yeah.
Because at one point they were really so boring to watch. No offense, mate. But then they kind of sorted it out a bit, and they looked the last few weeks they've looked good. Really, since Christmas they've had a massive improvement.
Yeah, well, thing is, I say, you know, I was worried. You know how worried I was at the start of the season. They were on a downward spiral. The club was all over the place, and then they picked up. You know what I mean? I'm glad they picked up. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm a good friend of Woody and Robbie Keane, and I love the football club with all my heart. But you know what I mean? I thought that a change was imminent and needed to be made, and he turned it around, which was great. But then now they're going back again. But it's timing of bad runs. If you have a bad run towards the end of the season, it has a bigger impact. If you don't go down, that's great. But it also, fans remember that the season looks like it's a negative season because you finished on a low note. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean. There's a lot of people in the area who are agreeing with Johnny Wish there that he'll go at the end of the season because you know people aren't happy. You know what I mean? They haven't seen much progression. They haven't seen They haven't seen the promises what he's made about style of play. You know what I mean? He's flooded a lot of young players, which is great, but you know what I mean? It's getting that fine balance for me. You know what I mean? You can put them in alongside these so-called experienced players, and the club can flourish even further because they've got some very talented players in the squad, experienced and young. They just need to get the balance and the blend right at the same time.
Yeah. So next up, we got Cardiff City 2, Wigan 2. First question: do I owe Neil Harris an apology?
I've read a couple of comments about people backing what he's trying to do, and he is trying to play a different way, but with the personnel that he's got. That's a massive plus. He's had a couple of positive results against a couple of lesser sides. Huddersfield was a great result, by the way. Luton Town the weekend before, great result. Oh, very good result. Not a great result, but good solid result. The problem I've got, Si, is the way he's starting games. And this isn't the first time we've said it. You know what I mean? So if we could start games the way that we're ending games, or the way that we can finish other parts of it, starting the game side is probably one of the biggest things of a 90 minutes. You know what I mean? You start and you end. You know what I mean? The middle sometimes looks after itself, but it's just starting awful, and they're giving teams, even average teams like Wigan, an opportunity to hold themselves into a game. And Wigan scored 2 goals at the best possible time for a football club, at the worst possible time for Cardiff. So to answer your question, do we owe him an apology? I don't think we owe an apology. I think we accept that he's trying to play a different way, but I'm not sure at the minute it's succeeding. Do you know what I mean? But I hope it does, and I hope we do owe him an apology. But if somebody offered me 7 points out of 9 a week ago, I'd have snapped your hands off. But the way that obviously the 2 away games looked after themselves previously, and then you draw 2-2 against Wigan, it's what could have been, and where could they have been with those extra 2 points? Because you look at the 2 goals on Saturday side, switch off a corner. Do you know what I mean? You can't afford to do that in the first couple of minutes of a game, and all of a sudden you're 1-0 down, and then Wigan get back into the game a 1-1 just before half time, get themselves a penalty, dubious penalty, of course, but I'll go through that in a minute. But it's just giving goals away at it's silly times and stupid times, and Cardiff just need to be, I don't know, maybe shut up shop a little bit and just, you know what I mean, like they used to do under Neil Warnock. And I'm probably just contradicting myself there, because we're on about him trying to get away from that style. But defensively, we're letting far too many goals, far too many goals against average teams for me. You know what I mean? That Kiefer Moore's first goal, Si. You know what I mean? We spoke about him there. You know what I mean? It was a sloppy set piece. I don't know whose man it was for the short corner. Joe tried to come off the post. I don't know if it was his man or not. Pulls it in, and Kiefer Moore's there to cleverly backheel it in, but should never happen in the Championship sides. You know what I mean? Make them put it in the box and challenge for every ball, because Cardiff have got the players to win those headers. So, but when the short balls come in, that's when they struggle. You know what I mean? And they got themselves back in the game through Josh Murphy, who I think's on absolute fire, by the way, scoring some very good goals. He's creating some very good chances, getting some very dangerous areas. Looks confident. He's linking up play with Lee Tomlin fantastically well, and Will Vaux. So it's looking really good. I'm not sure about the penalty side. I watched it about 5 or 6 times, and you know what I mean. You've got a defender who's thrown his body in front of the ball. Did it hit his hand? Yes. Is his hand in an unnatural position? I don't know. You throw yourself in that kind of position. What are you supposed to do with your hands? Put them behind your back. You're gonna put them somewhere. Well, exactly. You've got to put them somewhere. You know what I mean? So unnatural position for me is putting your hands over your head. Yes. You know what I mean? You've got to be able to put your arms somewhere. So I'm not sure about that. And that's not me being biased. I've seen loads of incidents over the weekend where the balls hit hand and nothing's been given. Where on Saturday against Cardiff it was given, and hey ho.
I thought the referee in the Cardiff game was dreadful, mate.
Yeah, well, he was. I agree.
Like,
well,
you know the disallowed goal. I see why it's disallowed in the last minute. I see why it's disallowed, but the majority or the main impeding is done by the defender,
by his own player. Yeah.
Wigan.
The foul side comes from the original throw-in. You know what I mean? The foul comes from the original one. You know what I mean? Oh, sorry, it's from the corner. And it's from his own player. And he's trying to punch the ball ahead of his own player. And then Morrison gets involved. You know what I mean? So he's unbalanced, off balance, in the back of his net because of his own player. You know what I mean? Regardless of what happens after that, what are you supposed to do? Just let him catch it. It just beggars belief for me. You know what I mean?
You're allowed to go for the ball.
Well, it's a contact sport side. We're on about it's a contact sport. And you know what I mean? It's not that he had the ball in two hands. He's gone to punch the ball. If he's gone to try and catch it, and he hasn't because somebody's there, give a free kick. But he's chose to punch that ball because he wasn't confident enough in kicking it or punching it and catching it. He's punched the ball, failed miserably, and he's very lucky, very, very lucky, by the way, that that the referee giving the benefit of the doubt, because I think they really struggled, especially towards the end of the game, with long throws, with set pieces, corners, free kicks into the box. They couldn't handle the physicality of Cardiff. And I'll go back to my original point. If Cardiff had started like that side, put balls in the box in the first minute, you would have ground them down by 60, 65, 70 minutes, and you would have won the game by then, because Wigan wouldn't have been able to cope. You know what I mean? But they're hanging on to something. They're hanging on to a result for so long that, you know what I mean? Even the worst sides in the league side can get a draw out of it.
Well, what have I been saying all year since Glatzel signed? Just whenever Glatzel was playing, he would play for 70 minutes. They wouldn't put a cross in the box, and then he'd go off.
Yeah.
And then they'd put the cross in the box, and it's like, well, what's the point in that?
Yeah, exactly.
The one thing I'd say about Harris, I'm going to stop short of apologising, but I can see that he's trying to implement changes.
Yeah.
Which means at least he's recognising that the way he was doing things wasn't working. Like he's changing the personnel. I think it was last week or the week before when Murphy scored in the FA Cup, and I said, look, give him 5 or 6 games, no matter how he plays, start him for 5 or 6 games, because he's one of those players who needs to play to get his form up and get him going.
Yeah.
And they're doing that, and he's scoring for fun. Callum Patterson, since he's come back from fitness, had a couple of off games, but then scored, and they kept him in the side, and he keeps scoring.
Yeah.
These are players who, the Cardiff City squad, particularly the forward players, Lee Tomlin wasn't playing. He was like in and out under Warnock. Harris came in and put him in the side constantly, built the side around him. Lee Tomlin's creating, scoring constantly.
Yeah. But what we said,
it's not a coincidence, is it?
What we said, Si, about changing teams as well and mixing things up and resting players, or so-called resting them. You know, I mean, players want to play, and players are going to get better and better and better by playing week in, week out. You know what I mean? They're going to get much sharper. They're going to get fitter. They're going to get quicker. They're going to get more confident. They're going to repay you with better performances. You know what I mean? And one of the biggest pluses that Neil Warnock's had most of his time at Cardiff, he was consistent with his team selection, that you could probably second guess his team week in, week out, apart from when he had to make changes, that you knew he would stick by players who were playing well. You know what I mean? That you would stick by the team, winning, and he repays faith. And you know what I mean? Sometimes managers have to do that. Forget sometimes when people say it's a squad game. It's a squad game throughout a season. But if a team's winning 10 games on the bounce, you don't change it. You don't change it. What, you know what I mean? You wait till they lose, or you wait till something happens, because these players deserve to carry on playing and implement what's working.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I find it frustrating, I gotta say, that they just make the same mistakes. Not just Harris, Warnock. They don't recognize the mistake, or they don't recognize that something's not working quick enough. Whether it's making subs, changing tactics, defensive, like how many weeks in a row now have me and you been saying set pieces, Cardiff are really shaky, really worrying.
Yeah,
still doing it, still happening.
Well, this is my concern, Si. You know what I mean? They started sloppy, they're struggling set pieces, and these are two of the things that with the players in that Cardiff City side that I wouldn't have put on their shoulders and thought of a Cardiff City side, that, you know what I mean, the players that have got start sharp, win the battles, win the headers, set pieces, never give a goal away off a set piece. Oh, look a threat at the other end, where it doesn't look like that at the minute. You know what I mean? It looked like every set piece at the minute that they give away, that they either switch off, and it was you know what I mean. Look, Kiefer Moore's goal was good goal if you're a Wigan player, but from a Cardiff point of view, it was a poor goal to give away.
Indeed, it was. I thought Kiefer Moore actually. That's the first time I've seen him play for Wigan really well.
Yeah,
I thought he not really, but like he just looks like what I see him for Wales. Really,
yeah.
Like for Wales, he always looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And he's Giggs has obviously got a lot of faith in him because he keeps picking him. But for some reason, he doesn't that many for Wigan. Whether they don't play maybe to how he likes to play, I'm not entirely sure of the reason, but he looks a different player at international level than he does when he plays in the Championship. But
you've got to also say, look at the players he's playing with. Look at the players he's playing with. You know what I mean? He's and this is not. I'm not being disrespectful to the players of Wigan caliber, but you know, I mean, the players that he's playing with at Wales are far superior, far greater. You know what I mean? The quality of the ball that he's getting. You know what I mean? The finish for the first goal on Saturday was excellent technique. You know what I mean? Imaginative. So shows that he's got it in his locker, and shows that the faith that Ryan Giggs has put in him. You know what I mean? Is right to see, and you know what I mean? It was always going to happen. I believe that he scored against Cardiff, and then when he got a second, it was like he was just probably written in the stars.
Yeah. So next up, we got Fulham. Johnny Wish just said the same thing, which I just said about Kiefer Moore and him playing for Wales. Looking forward to talking to this game, Fulham versus Barnsley, because I've really been enjoying watching Barnsley for the last couple of months. But
yeah. Well, to be honest, all season going forward, we've said how many chances Barnsley create, but how they don't put the ball in the back of the net. And unfortunately for Fulham on Saturday, they came up against an ex-player who has come back to haunt them. He's been in great form, Cauley Woodrow, but on Saturday he was exceptional. He put in a really, really good performance. And Barnsley started great, so I thought they were excellent. I'm not really sure how the goalkeeper from Fulham, Rodek, stayed on the pitch because it was a disastrous. He tried to catch the ball. He dropped it. He turned round. The centre forward, it was just about to tap the ball in, and I wouldn't even say he rugby tackled him. I think he more or less gave him a cuddle to try and stop him scoring. But it's a red card. It's a red card all day, and I can't believe that he didn't send him off because it was just it was so blatant. Cauley Woodrow stepped up, scored his penalty, didn't celebrate, which annoyed me a little bit. But I mean, that's one of my biggest bugbears. That obviously ex-Fulham player, but you know what I mean. For me, he should have celebrated because you know what I mean. He's getting paid by Barnsley, but that's another thing. I thought Fulham improved after the break. They probably should have equalised straight after half time, but some excellent defending from Barnsley, which you know what I mean, and which hasn't happened all season, by the way. The word excellent defending from Barnsley does not happen in the same sentence in the Championship. So I've got to give him credit for that. But then Barnsley broke away straight after that and scored a very good goal. But then again, poor goalkeeping. He came out when he didn't need to. And then the third goal, I thought Cauley Woodrow, he danced inside the box and scored from a tight angle and didn't celebrate again, which double annoyed me. But no, Barnsley side, they entertain both ends. You know what I mean? Normally they let goals in, which you know what I mean. They should be on everyone's coup on both teams to score. But didn't let a goal in this week, kept a clean sheet. But probably Barnsley's biggest negative of the day will be when they went in the changing room after the game celebrating and looked at Luton's result, Wigan's result, Huddersfield's result. That they come away with an unbelievable result, and then they see that all the other teams winning around them, and that they can't do anything about that. They've just got to take this as it is. It's a massive 3 points, and they go and try and get some more. Because if they can play like this again and again and again, they'll get some real scalps. But they can't just think they've turned the corner now. They've got to do it. They've got to do it week in, week out.
Oh yeah, Gaz just said that the law changed with the penalties and red cards. I know it changed. I think they're not supposed to send you off, but I think in certain situations it should be a sending off. Yeah. And with that, it was an open goal, so it should have been a sending off.
Yeah, it wasn't even because
it wasn't like he was.
Yeah, I don't even know what it was. It was I don't know. It was like a bear hug. Like a bear hug sort of tackle. It was just a ridiculous. Like it's just you have to, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it because it's quite amusing. Well, mate, and he dropped it.
That keeper was at fault for all 3 he has had an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, he's had a shocker. A shocker.
Like, and we've slaughtered some keepers this year. I think that's the worst of the whole season, mate. It was awful.
It was bad, yeah. And a game side where Fulham have been on fire as well, and where Forest and West Brom drew. You know what I mean? Leeds were winning. You know what I mean? So it was an opportunity for Fulham to. Brentford didn't win. You know what I mean? So it was an opportunity for them to get up. You know what I mean? And progress forward. You know, so it's such a bad result. Such a bad result.
Johnny Wish just said Cardiff should have signed Corley Woodrow in the summer, in January. What I would say to that is, yes, they should have. The reason they didn't is because they don't want to spend any money, and that's why they brought in Neil Harris.
Yeah,
simple as that, I'm afraid.
But my concern with that side is he performs now. He carries on performing where he is. How much is he? How much is
doubled?
Will his value be? That is he worth? Is he worth £5 million? You know what I mean? You're looking at Jared Boyne. You know what I mean? It's excessive money now in the even in the Championship. So it's asking a lot for teams like Cardiff. You know what I mean? To I wouldn't say waste, because if you get promoted, it's not a waste. But to buy a Championship player in the Championship to get promoted, for those kind of players to not really cope in the Premier League like they did, like some of them didn't. Moving forward, it's a big risk to take.
Oh yes. So next up we have West Brom 2, Forest 2. What a game!
Ah, what a game! What a game indeed. Just full of incidents, full of drama, full of good players, full of just all on good play. I'm a massive fan of Callum Robinson. I thought he was excellent. He got on the ball. He was very direct. Came from Sheffield United in the window. I thought he was excellent. I thought he's just very direct. He just looks like he enjoys taking people on. Scored a very good goal. And then Kyle Bartley scored the first of 2 own goals on the day. And you know, we've been very critical of people who score on goal side, but if he didn't score it, there was a tap in on the line, so somebody was going to get that. And I'll move on to the other own goal. It was a Figueiredo own goal, and it was going to get tapped in again on the line. So you know, I mean, sometimes it's just that the quality of the cross makes the goal. But goal of the game, and for me, performance of the day was Cash. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and Matty Cash, he drove at West Brom constantly. He was a constant threat. His goal was absolutely out of this world, and his celebration was even better, to be fair, because he still had the energy and the desire to run all the way up the other end in injury time to his own supporters to show how much he cares. Because Forest have been on a little bit of a bad run. You know what I mean? We were very critical of the manager resting players last weekend, and they had an indifferent. They've had a few indifferent results. You know what I mean? They got beat by Charlton last weekend. So to go to West Brom and get a positive result, but probably a better performance, shows how far they've come, really.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I'd say about Cash as well is he's a defender. He's a out and out winger. Yeah. He's not even like a defensive winger. He's an out and out attacking winger, and he's been playing right back or full back. He's doing a tremendous job, and he's been one of the real bright lights for Forest in a difficult period.
Yeah.
West Brom, I mean, they were very good again. They won't be too worried. I thought Pereira particularly was outstanding. It's his work rate, mate, as well as his quality on the ball. Yeah, like he wins the ball, but I think he won the ball back for the 1 goal. I think.
Yeah, he did. They just make things happen, side for me, though. They make things happen. You know what I mean? It's the quality of them going forward. Pereira, Robson, Carnew, Robinson. You know what I mean? The 3 of them were live wires, and then you've got second half. You've got Robson, Carnew coming on. You know what I mean? It's just relentless. It must be just a nightmare for defenders, because it's just constant. Someone's tired or not doing it. You've got somebody else who's coming on to change the game. Yeah, it's just that for me they're the best side in the league, and I think they'll see this as 2 points dropped, but at the same time it could be a point game come the end of the season.
Yeah, I do agree. I can't see past West Brom, and then it's between Brentford, Leeds, and Fulham.
Yeah.
And when I look at the squads on paper of the 3 of them, I think, well, it's got to be Leeds. Yeah. But they're just doing everything they can to cock it up. Then after that, I think, well, Fulham, they got some real quality Premier League standard players.
Hmm.
And then I look at Brentford and I think, all right, they haven't got maybe the big names, but they've got someone in Ollie Watkins who's, scoring for fun.
Yeah.
And they've got a good team ethic, and they've spent it's your friend.
There's my friend. Nice profile pic.
She sent her first question as well.
How
much do you reckon Pereira's worth?
Wow. On technical ability alone, how much we Jared Bowen? Was Jared Bowen 10, 12 million pounds? So for me, you're looking at 16 for me, 16 plus easily. Maybe more because if it's technical ability, assists, goals, you know what I mean. And for me, he'll be playing his trade in the Premier League next season. He will be either way, I believe. Either with West Bromwich Albion or somebody else.
I believe that if Jude Bellingham is worth what were they saying? 30 million?
Yeah,
50 million?
Yeah, 30 to 50 million quid, yeah.
I think if Jude Bellingham is worth that, then Pereira is worth at least 25.
Yeah. It's just potential. It's just, I think it's more potential.
Jude Bellingham, you're paying for potential, aren't you?
You're paying potential, yeah, but on current market value.
Pereira could slot into a top half Premier League team and play some great stuff.
Easily.
Okay. Next up is mate. My son just texted me. He knows I'm doing it. He's texting me, asking me questions. What time do I have to be home? He's supposed to already be home.
There you go.
Birmingham 1, Brentford 1.
This is always going to be a difficult game for Brentford, regardless on how good they are going forward. I mean, their last away game, what they scored, 5 at Hull. So you're never going to be able to repeat it. You know what I mean? For me, Birmingham are revitalised. They're a good side now. They've got some great youngsters. I thought Birmingham started all right, to be fair, but ended up going 1-0 down. And then the onslaught came for me. Jukovic started to hold the ball up. He started to get into the game a little bit more, win his headers. But I think probably a draw was a fair result. Pinnock probably could have given a penalty away. So one of those ones that I said that the ball hit his hand in the box, but wasn't given. That. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it is a penalty. I'm not a big fan of every time the ball it's your hand, it's a penalty kick. So, you know what I mean? If you're in an unnatural position now, I'm going to give it. But I thought Jukovic again was outstanding. He got his goal, which for me, deserved. He's having a very good season. But I'll say this as a Brentford, that's a good result. You know what I mean? There's not many teams who go to Birmingham now and come away with much. So I think with Leeds winning, you know what I mean? Brentford would have liked to win, course they would have, but you're never going to win every game in the Championship side. So I think they'll see it as a point gained, and they'll move on to the home games. If you can win your home games and draw your away games, they'll do all right.
Yeah, I thought Jude Bellingham was excellent again.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Which is remarkable in itself. Jukovic has just been scoring for fun recently. The biggest shock of the weekend, Ollie Watkins didn't score.
Yeah, I know.
But this is a bit of a shocker. Drop in next week, didn't score.
Yeah.
I think Scott Hogan's made a big difference for Birmingham in the way they play and the way they go forward.
Well, it gives them that something different for me, Star. You know what I mean? Because they've always been quite one-dimensional, putting the ball up to Jukovic, where Hogan gives them that pace going forward as well, and he gives them that outlet. And you know what I mean? He's very direct. He's got pace. He knows where the goal is. You know what I mean? He's got a very good reputation scoring goals, even at Brentford before he got his move to Villa. So I think he'll score more goals if he stays in the Championship. You know what I mean? Because I think he's this is probably his level.
Yeah. So okay. What's the next game? And I tell you what, it could have been a big weekend for some clubs but their results went against them. Like we talked about Luton, you know, if the teams around them lose, what a result against Boro. If Barnsley teams around them lose, what a result to smash Fulham 3-0.
Yeah.
Same for Brentford or West Brom. If they could have, picked up a win, what could have been interesting. The one team who actually has come out well of it is probably Leeds. With the other two drawing. Next up was not Birmingham Brentford, because that's what we just did.
Charlton
Cardiff, Wigan, we done. Charlton, Blackburn.
I think Charlton probably side that they probably came out
on fire.
Yeah, they probably come out of the losers of the weekend down the bottom, because with a lot of the teams getting ground on them, apart from Stoke City. But from the highlights of what I watched, I'm worried about them again, because Blackburn Rovers, we know how good Blackburn are going forward, but it's some of the balls in the box side, and I wouldn't say it was poor defending, because when you got the likes of Stewie Downing putting balls in the box, because he had two assists for both the goals, but I thought both balls in for both goals were absolutely outstanding. I thought Buckley's finish was very good. I won't even try and pronounce the centre half who scored the second goal. But just the ball inside, when you've got someone of that quality to put balls in the box, when you've got the Armstrongs, you've got even the Johnsons going forward, who likes to score goals late in the box from centre midfield. The Layman. I thought Walton's save second half was outstanding. He was one of my ups last week for keeping Blackburn in the game against was it Fulham last week when they got beat 1-0. I thought it was excellent, but it's a different kind of saves this week, that they're winning 2-0, keeping them in the game, and he's saving the second half from Lyle Taylor was absolutely brilliant in the top corner, and just shows that it wasn't just a one-off, that he's a very good goalkeeper, and showed his worth to keep them in the 3 points. But like you just said there, Si, that Blackburn needed that win to claw things back. Bristol City dropped points, Preston dropped points, Forest dropped points, Brentford dropped points, Fulham dropped points. So Blackburn was a huge result for them, because it puts them back in 3 points behind the playoffs, or 6 points off Fulham, so they're not far away, aside from our prediction.
No, not indeed. Just before we move on to the next game, this show is brought to you by Away Day Apparel. Visit awaydayapparel.co.uk for the latest clothes and offers, and some big things planned for 2020. It's definitely worth following them on Twitter at Away Day Apparel and Instagram at awayday_apparel. And especially for viewers and listeners of Ace Podcast Nation, we have an offer which gives us 10% off all orders, and that's AA Podcast Nation, the code, all in lowercase, and you'll get 10% off your order. And like I've said many times, great guy running it, and it's going to be a very, very big year for them this year. They've got some great stuff planned for the Euros, and you'll see their stuff everywhere. I saw some pictures of Lazio fans wearing it yesterday.
Yeah, I did.
Unbelievable, growing all time. And that's AA Podcast Nation. You enter it at the checkout, and you get 10% off your orders. And we thank them for sponsoring the show. What we got? Derby won, Huddersfield won.
Yeah. To be fair, Derby have been on fire recently, Si, especially at home. They've been picking points up after point. And one thing I will say, I thought Tom Lawrence's goal was absolutely brilliant. You know what I mean? Short corner again. We all know about set pieces, the importance of them. That Wayne Rooney took a short corner to Shinnie, who laid it inside to Tom Lawrence, who took a touch, and he belted it in the top corner, the near post top corner, and it was just a probably deserved goal, because they created a few chances. There was one save in particular, side from Lossell, from Waghorn's header at 1-0, which that goes in, it's game over. It was absolutely fantastic, point blank save, and then they went up the other end and equalised through what's his call? He is called Toffolo, and for me it was I don't know if it was we're on about Cauley Woodrow. The second goal being the goalkeeper's fault. I think this is a similar goal. He's cut down the left-hand side, and I think the goalkeeper thought he was going to cross it in, but he's gone for the near post and caught the goalkeeper out a little bit. And it's a massive result for Huddersfield, because I think that point, especially with Stoke City dropping points, you know what I mean, from leading 2-0, that give them an opportunity to progress forward and push up that league, because we've been big fans of the Cowley brothers and how they've turned their fortunes around, and I really, really hope that they carry this run on or go on a better run and push up that league, because they're both the manager who I really respect and hope he does really well.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Tom Lawrence, like we said last week, has been incredible since all that stuff happened towards the start of the season with Andy Keogh and Richard Keogh.
Richard Keogh.
And, just the way he has recovered from that and really, really pushed on and done his business on the pitch, I think is massive. And if I was him, I'd be exceptionally disappointed if he's not in the next Welsh squad.
Yeah.
Because he deserves it for the way he's got his head down. And the Cowley brothers, because Leeds have bottled it and didn't run away with it like they looked like they would. If Huddersfield stay up, I think they've got good shout of being, manager of the year.
Yeah.
For the championship because they were all but down at one point. So to come back the way they have and play the football they do with the players they've got, I think is outstanding.
Yeah, credit to them. Because we said, didn't we? You know what I mean? That even when they took over, they were on about this mentality of losing. You know what I mean? It was becoming just a habit. There was a habit of losing, and it was a bad habit. Even in training, that they were trying to put a winning mentality in place. And you can see that with the way that they're playing, the way they're scoring goals, the way that their whole attitude around the football club has just changed dramatically from those times at the start of the season. And I'm pleased because it wasn't nice to see what we were talking about, and it had to change because that football club was only going to go one way, and it was never going to ever come back from it. If they'd gone down, I think that would have been it. I don't think the football club would have probably come back from it.
Yeah, I think they may have done a bit of a slide, haven't they? That was the worry, at least. Next up, Leeds, the bottlers, or not? Maybe not. Maybe they've got themselves together.
I think
1-0.
I think the
Bristol City, who are the most inconsistent team ever.
Yeah, they are. Well, I think Leeds tried everything inside to not win the game.
To not win, God.
To not win, you know what I mean? What, 21 attempts at goal, you know what I mean? How they didn't score more goals.
69% possession.
It was just ridiculous, you know what I mean? Bristol City, like you say, Si, you know what I mean? They beat Derby last week, 3-2, and they go there and they're just tactically wise, you know what I mean? For me, Leeds are probably there to be got at. You know what I mean? If you've got at Leeds on Saturday, you probably get some joy because the lack of confidence have had some bad results. But you let Leeds get at you. You sit against Leeds, they'll bombard you. They'll get round the back of you. They'll get round the sides of you. They'll play in front of you, and that's what happened. And Luke Ayling scored the goal after just a long period of attacking play. It was ricochets, it was crosses, it was shots, it was headers, and he tucked it away. And then when that goal went in, I thought, oh, here we go. It's going to be 2, 3, 4 here. And Lee Johnson's side. And to be fair, it should have been. And if it wasn't for the goalkeeper, it wasn't for poor defending. You know what I mean? I thought Bentley in goal was outstanding. But if it wasn't for some poor finishings as well, it would have been 2, 3, 4, 5, if not 6. And you know, I mean, Bristol City can probably look at the game and see 1-0 as a good result because it's papered over the cracks a little bit, the result and the performance, because the performance was poor and the result obviously was a defeat, but it was probably the best defeat they could probably look for after the chances and shots and possession, which was just out of this world, really.
Yeah, Leeds, I just can't believe the chances they missed. How many chances they missed? It was
they're not even hard size.
Really,
well, you know what I mean? It was the shoot when they shouldn't shoot, the cross when they should cross. They're getting some unbelievable areas, and we've said all along, someone's going to take a beating soon. You know what I mean? Middlesbrough got beat 4. You know what I mean? That's probably the heaviest defeat of the season. You know what I mean? They went to Birmingham City and beat them 5-4. You know what I mean? So they've got goals in them, but yeah, they've got to put teams to bed. And if they can put someone to bed soon, then maybe the league might start to think, oh, Leeds are back. You know what I mean? They need that probably for everyone to probably take Leeds serious again, because you know what I mean? If Bristol City had broke away last minute and scored, that could have been absolutely disastrous for the whole season, because then they would have bottled it again. You know what I mean? That's the concern that they've got to have, because it can happen.
They looked shot last weekend mentally. They just looked as if they had no belief that they could score. They just looked shot, and I just think like a last-minute equaliser in this game after all the chances they missed could have been catastrophic. But we said, 3-4 weeks into the season, that Paddy Bamford was not the answer as Leeds number 9. As talented as he is, he hasn't got the whatever it is, composure or mentality, whatever you want to say it is, to finish the chances they're creating on a regular basis. Now, that's not a personal thing against him. It's just, he's not, and he's proven that right. He misses 2, 3, 4, 5 chances, which if you're Andy Cole, is fine, where you get 10 chances a game, but you score 5 of them.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But if you get 10 chances a game and you score 1 maybe, that's not okay.
I think, as I say, we're about a club now who've been at the top of the league all season. You know what I mean? To score the amount of goals, you know what I mean, he has, it's just not enough. And you know what I mean? If Leeds had have had that goal scorer this season, they'd have walked away with the league. You know what I mean? They've played that well all season, but the problem they've had is in front of goal. You know what I mean? Putting teams to bed, and you know what I mean, and drop points. You know what I mean? You can go back to the Cardiff game, you can go back to the QPR game, you go back. You know what I mean? Even to a lesser degree, the Birmingham game. You know what I mean? That you go away from home, you score 5 goals. You don't expect to let 4 goals in. You know what I mean? That's the concerning thing. And maybe his teams realise then that, hang on a minute, we can get at Leeds here. You know what I mean? We can see weaknesses in them. We can see we can see cracks appearing. You know what I mean? So teams will give it a go, and they've done it, and a few teams have got some joy.
Indeed, yeah. It'd be interesting running for Leeds, because I'm not convinced entirely that they've suddenly, with this win, are back to.
We can't.
Back to where they were.
You can't go on one game, can you? Because we've been on for so long about them bottling it last 2, 3, 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Bad results, going back to the QPR game. So for me, you know what I mean, the proof in the pudding probably next weekend that they pick up decent positive result away from home, then they're back in it. You know what I mean? Because then with another home game coming up, they'll be back in with a shout. But if they go and lose next weekend, they're back to square one.
Yes, indeed. Next up was Preston 0, Millwall 1.
Surprising side, to be fair. I thought Millwall were on a bit of a slide. I thought they created some really good chances. I thought, but Preston weren't really at the races as good as they have been, and probably just shows that it's just been a bit of a slog these last couple of months for Preston, that they picked up and then they've dropped some points. But Millwall scored through Hutchinson. I thought they thoroughly deserved the 3 points. I thought they were solid at times. I didn't think Preston created as many chances as they normally do. You know what I mean? We raved about them last week when they went to Stoke City when they went to Wigan. Sorry, they won 2-1. They obviously beat Stoke City in the week. So to lose at home is a really, really poor result, especially with the sides losing just above them. It would have put them probably at level with Nottingham Forest, level with Brentford, 1 point behind Fulham. So it's a really, really, really poor result, which they can't really afford to have at this stage of the season.
Yes. Speaking of poor results, next up we had QPR 4, Stoke City 2. Stoke, what are they doing?
Can't work them out
every time.
Yeah, can't work them out. You know what I mean? Not just that, they went 2-0 ahead. Kluka scored a really good goal. Therese Campbell scored another very good goal, and you think, Stoke have turned it around. You know what I mean? All the teams down the bottom half are winning or drawing. You know what I mean? Worrying times for teams like Middlesbrough and etc. But then all of a sudden they started to let goals in. Jordan Hugo scored just on the half hour, and then Eze scored just before half time, and then after that there was only one winner. You know what I mean? Samuel got his goal with 20 minutes to go after. I'm not sure if it's a goalkeeping mistake. I don't know if Jack Butland thought he was going to go wide. He didn't really put a save out there. Then Chair put it to bed right at the end. But there was a miss of the season in this game as well, and I'm going to talk about it later on for one of my ups or downs. I'm not going to give it away, but I think it's probably quite obvious what I'm going to give. But it was a really bad result for Stoke City, but shows also how unpredictable QPR are our side. That you know what I mean? They're so good going forward, but they let so many goals in defensively as well. And I'm worried about them when they lost Naki Wells, because were they going to keep that firepower? But they've obviously replaced Naki Wells with Samuel, and they still got Eze and Jordan Hugo. So I think it could hopefully for them finish off with a a positive season.
Tell you what, Sam Klukas' goal.
Oh, excellent! Just dance through.
So good.
Yeah, dance through.
Really good. QPR just pretty good. You know, they've got quite a young team. They're doing Stoke. Every time I think they've turned the corner, they just...
I'll let you down. It must be so. It must be. I'd love to know what Stoke fans really believe or what's going on. You know what I mean? Because one minute I think they're safe as houses. That they've turned the corner. They're going to go on a 3 or 4 game run. You know, they're too good to go down. Then all of a sudden, every single team below them picks up points, and now they're in the trouble again because they're 2-0 up, 2-0 up and get beat 4-2, and it must be so worrying because they can't. That football club cannot afford to go down. Not afford to go down.
Okay, so finally, I think is Chef Wednesday, who we talk about Leeds bottling it. Sheffield Wednesday have completely capitulated since Christmas. Yeah. I thought they were going to be right up there, and I do not know what they are playing at.
No, well, I did a bit of research on Stephen Fletcher. Stephen Fletcher's out with a knee injury, and it's ever since he was out with his illness, and he hasn't played really since. He's hurt his knee since that illness, I think in December. And they've just been... It's ever since the Leeds game. They go to Leeds, beat them 2-0. And since that game, they've been absolutely disastrous. That they've let goals in. They haven't scored enough goals. It's just a disastrous season for them at the minute. And they're plummeting down the league. And soon, if they're not careful, there's going to be nothing to play for. It's going to be... They can't... The too many points are going down. They're going to be too many points off the playoffs. And some of the goals are letting inside as well. It's absolutely embarrassing. You know what I mean? It's like men against boys at times. And Reading didn't really have to create to score goals. They dominated the game, and you know what I mean. We've been quite positive on Mark Bowen, and he got his tactics spot on Saturday, and they thoroughly deserved to beat Sheffield Wednesday. And you know what I mean. Probably the result flattered Sheffield Wednesday a little bit. One thing I will say is the sending off. It was the sending off. It was a young lad. It was the 5th sending off this season for a Sheffield Wednesday player. And
crazy.
It was just pointless. You know what I mean? It was the timing of it. Just after half time, you're already on a yellow card. Somebody's going past you. You don't dive in and bring him down because there's only one thing next. It's the second yellow. You're going to go off, and it just sets a stall out of the second half. You know what I mean? All the tactics go out the window, and then Puskas gets his goal, and Baldock scored a penalty right at the death, and Mite scored the first goal, and I thought Reading were excellent, and just shows how far they've come as a football club.
Yeah. Reading, I'm not a massive fan of their behaviour recently, but you can't deny that they were very impressive. You know, and with players like Puskas, they have the ability to, you know, go on and do some decent stuff, but they just don't seem to be able to really push on and get like a run of wins. It always seems to be win a couple, lose a couple. Obviously, when Bowen came in, they did have that run, but then they seem to have dropped points again. Then, and you know, they've got the ability to go and have they could go and win 10 games on the bounce, and you wouldn't be massively surprised.
No,
because of the glimpses that they showed, and you know, when Bowen first took over.
Yeah, no, well, I think as I say. He obviously saw potential in the side. Obviously, he wanted the job. You know what I mean. He saw something that he could achieve, and he could do well. And fair play to him. You know what I mean. It was the right decision. End of the day. You know what I mean. Obviously, we questioned it on here, and results speak for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, mate. My list is not loaded, so I couldn't see it. But I think that was the last game, wasn't it?
No, Friday night there was Hull City 4. Hull City 4, Swansea 4. Which
there you go.
It was
fancy me forgetting Swansea.
I know. Well, to be fair, I didn't want to miss. I didn't want to miss the fact of that both sides couldn't defend. You know what I mean? We spoke last week about being worried about Hull City not being able to score enough goals. But to be fair, you score 4 goals, so you think you're going to win the game, and that's both sides. Lopez scored an early goal, Wayne Ratley's equalised. You know, even at 1-1 at half time, I still didn't expect what happened in the second half. Maddison, who came from Peterborough, scored his first goal for Hull City, and it was just an onslaught. One team scored, and the other team went off the other end and equalised. Cal McNaughton equalised. Wilkes put Hull ahead. Garrick equalised. Then Brewster scored, which I thought, watching the game on Friday night, was the winning goal. And you know what I mean. Then Tom Eaves, I think, who's been absolutely excellent over the last few weeks. He's scored some really important goals. He's leading the line really well. But he was sub-side. He came on just after or just before. I think he came on at 3-3. You know what I mean? For me, he's been their standout player over the last few months. So I was very surprised with that. But he shows his importance with his goal right at the death. But I think both managers will be disastrously unimpressed with how bad the defending was, and just shows how, you know what I mean, it's just important it is to keep clean sheets in this league, because goals will always happen, mistakes will always happen, but if you can keep clean sheets. Cardiff showed the importance of the season that they got promoted, and you know what I mean, that they're always going to score goals, but 4 goals, both sides must be extremely disappointed, and you know what I mean. Yes, you played your part in a very good game, but defensively, it's just disastrous for both sides.
Absolutely. Guys, you can send in your questions now towards the end of the show. We're going to do our 2 for 2 now, and then we'll go into the questions, name our squads for the England and Wales Euros, which should be interesting, as I name the England squad and Andy names the Welsh squad, which should be fun. So, we just had a barrage of people join because I just tweeted that we're going to name our squads. So, who have you got, mate, for your first? Jesus Christ, there's loads of people just joined. Who have you got for your first up of the weekend, mate?
My first up, I've gone for Callum Robinson for West Bromwich Albion. He came on, he signed from Sheffield United in the window, and I thought he was just a constant threat. His desire to take people on is just second to none, and he scored a very good goal against a very good Nottingham Forest side. So he gets my first up.
Yeah, I've gone for my first up. I went for Kiefer Moore. Exceptional back heel finish against Cardiff. He gave Cardiff trouble all day. They really struggled to control him. He just looked like the player that he does for Wales. Yeah, but there we go. Agree. Cardiff should have signed him in the summer, in the January window, in my opinion, because I think Glatzel doesn't seem to be working out. But I would give him time. But if they could have got Kiefer Moore on the cheap, I would have had him. But he also showed why Ryan Giggs has got so much faith in him.
Yeah, totally agree.
Who you got for your next up, mate?
I've gone for Daniel Bentley, Bristol City goal. Daniel Bentley, Bristol City against Leeds United, because he just made some unbelievable saves, and you know, I'm on about some of the finishing was poor, but some of his saves were excellent to keep him in the game. And if Bristol City had a push forward and got the equaliser, then I think all the players would have owed Mr. Bentley a pint after the game, because I thought he was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Guys, just before we give our 2 downs, I'd just like to say any T-shirts, mugs, or anything which is bought for the next 7 days, my cut of that will be donated to the people who've been affected by the flooding in the Rhondda Valley. So I urge you all to buy something, even if it's something small like an iPhone cover or a mug. Let's make some donations, and I'll probably match anything which we get as well to try and help those people who've had some of their possessions destroyed. Who have you got for your first down, mate?
I've gone for Leeds United's finishing of 21 attempts on goal and only 1 hitting the net, because I just think, you know what I mean, it's astounding figure, Si. You know what I mean? It's just a ridiculous amount of figure, you know what I mean? And some of the chances were very easy. Yes, good goalkeeping, but at the same time, not good enough. And they need to improve those stats to push on to get promoted.
Andy Campbell is our friend. He hates Leeds. My first down is Rodak, the Fulham keeper. He's been exceptional all season, mate.
Yeah,
but he was absolute
shocker.
Dog poo.
Shocker.
He was dreadful, mate.
He
was a fault for all 3 goals, and he must have thought after that 3rd goal went in, he must have wished he'd got sent off for the penalty in the first goal, because he was shocking.
He got a hat-trick, didn't he? He got hat-trick of goals, because all of it was fault.
Hat-trick of crap. I thought I did really well not to swear then as I talked about that. So well done me. Who've you got for your second down, mate?
My second down was Isaiah Samuel from QPR, and I'm talking about a goal which I'm not sure how he did it, because he He stopped the ball going in on the line. He tried to volley it in, and the ball went backwards towards the 18-yard box, which I've never seen before. Yeah, I've missed some sitters in my time, but Isaiah Samuel, yeah, he's he's definitely up there. He's definitely up there.
Yeah, so I was a bit, I'm in an hour in with my second down. I didn't give my second up either. I'll give that now. My second down, I gave to the Holland Swansea defences because they were just schoolboy.
Yeah, awful.
That's all I need to say on them. They were dreadful.
Yeah.
My second up was Matty Cash for Nottingham Forest. Unbelievable goal to equalise. If you watch it, you no backlift on it, just touch and boom, great finish. But great performance. He's been one of the bright spots, as I said earlier, in Forest in this patchy season they've had, and he's an out-and-out winger playing in a fullback. So in my book, I thought he was outstanding. Right then, let's get to the questions. Let's get to the questions. Guys, you can send questions every week. You can drop them in the live chat, or you can send them to facebook.com/ACEcastNation, Twitter @ACEcast_nation, now on Instagram @ACEcast_nation, and you can email acenetworkcontact@gmail.com. Okay, let's see what we've got. Johnny Wish says, if you could have one Welsh player for England over the years, who would it have been?
Oh, Ryan Giggs, because it was always the balance for me. Always the balance at that time when England was so strong. I know people probably question about the Gareth Bale, but for me, I wouldn't say now England probably lacked something. It was probably going back in Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, when we always used to have one of those two would play wide and would probably rotate. And for me, they always lacked something on that left hand side and a bit of balance. And especially when they went to Japan World Cup, that was probably the year that probably they could have. That was probably their only opportunity. You know, when they got beat by Brazil, that we probably could have won something in my lifetime. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope we do win something, but. That was probably an opportunity missed. But if we'd have had something on that left hand side, we probably could have won something.
Yeah, Johnny also asked. Johnny asked us last week to passed us to pick our all-time Welsh and English squads each, and then he asked you to pick the Welsh squad and me to pick the English squad for the Euros, with the only rules being that it's as of today. So anyone injured now is not eligible, which made it a bit more trickier for me. But we'll do them right at the end because it's a bit more.
I'm not sure if any mine are injured, but hopefully not.
Right, okay, that's all right. I think he was just trying to be awkward because he knows that I wouldn't be able to pick the obvious ones. But we'll do them in a minute. Peaches, word association as usual. She sent one in the live chat this week. She just made it up.
Just saying that.
So you're gonna have to. I hope you haven't prepared.
Well, no, I haven't.
It's not the way this works.
I haven't.
So got as usual. You got to say the first person which comes to mind, or first thing which comes to mind, depending on what it is. Rudest person.
Dave Jones.
Is he going to be the answer to all of these now? Absolute melt.
Dave Jones.
No, it's cheating.
No, it's not. Here we go.
Come on.
Here we go.
All right. Worst behaved on a night out.
Ooh. If I can't, I'm not allowed to choose myself, so I'll go worst behaved on a night out. Define worst behaved. I'll go Willie Boland only because Willie just loves a night out, and we used to get into all kinds of bother.
Can you give us an example of any of those types of bother?
Well, to be honest, things used to start in the tenants in Radder at about 11 o'clock when you used to walk in, and we didn't leave there probably until Monday morning ready for training. So didn't really bode well for the week ahead. But, hey ho.
Most boring.
Oh. Neil Alexander.
Harsh. Hardest to control on the pitch.
Hardest to control on the pitch. Hardest to control on the pitch. I'd probably say Ernie because he was quite. I'd probably say Ernie, and I'd probably say because he was quite ruthless in what he did, and he was very goal orientated, and he knew what he wanted to do, so he'd do what he needed to do to be successful for him. You know what I mean? And I probably use the word selfish, but not in a negative way. That he was selfish in terms of he scored goals and loved doing it, and that was the way that he did it.
Gaz Cubbins sent me a DM on Twitter. He said he couldn't post it on the live chat for some reason. He said, "Who is a worse owner, Vincent Tan or David Gold and Sullivan, etc." And Gaz is obviously a West Ham fan. So West Ham.
For me, you've got to look at them both separately, side, because you know what I mean. I understand Gaz's frustration at West Ham because it's been handled really badly, but over a prolonged period of time. But Vincent Tan changed Cardiff City's colour. He changed everything. You know what I mean? So it's like West Ham changing to blue. You know what I mean? They would absolutely hate that, going into Chelsea's colours or going into Tottenham's colours and going playing in white. That it would destroy their claret and blue and destroy their ethos and destroy just their football club as a whole. And you know what I mean? The owners have this much power, and unfortunately, the fans just have to live and get on with it. And that's why that people don't like the way that things are happening. It happens down the road for me at Newcastle United down here. I've got a lot of Newcastle fans and who I'm friends with, and you know what I mean? I'm gutted for them that their football club's getting tortured and getting ruined. Sunderland just down the road as well, and it's such a heart. My heart goes out to them because I know how much they love their football clubs, and same with Gaz. And you know what I mean? I've got some West Ham friends, and you know what I mean? I know that they're frustrated and upset and angry over the years. This isn't just a brand new thing, by the way. It's happening far too often and continues to happen.
Yeah, indeed. My answer would be obvious. Okay, so last week, Johnny, he posted in the live chat, guys. Great show. I'm off, guys, and then straight away put, oh no, I'm not. I'm staying for the squads. Asked the bloody question. We're going to answer it, and he was going to go.
Yeah.
So
bored him.
Okay. Yeah. Cheeky bastard. Right. Okay. So how many are we naming?
I've gone 23.
Man squad.
I've gone 23. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gone 23.
That suits me. Right. Go on then. You name your Welsh goalkeepers for the Euros as of today.
Right. I've gone Wayne Hennessy from Crystal
Palace.
Including
your number one.
Wayne Hennessy was going to be my number one. Okay. I think he deserves his place from Crystal Palace. I've gone Danny Ward number 2, and I've gone for Tom King number 3 from Newport County.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
I've gone for a bit of experience and someone who deserves a chance because he's got a good reputation.
I like it. So my goalkeepers for the England squad are Dean Henderson, number 1.
Oh, I like it.
Jordan Pickford. I struggled with these last two because I believe Tom Heaton's injured.
Yeah, he is.
And I would have gone. I like Tom Heaton.
Yeah.
So I went with what's the other guy? As number 3, and then Joe Hart as my experienced backup who's not going to play.
Have you gone 4? I've only gone 3.
I'll take Joe Hart out because I didn't really want to pick him. But
take him out.
Take it. Bin him.
Take him out.
Right. What you got for your defenders then, mate?
I've gone Ethan Ampadu, Ashley Williams, Ben Davies, Connor Roberts from Swansea City. So I'm not anti-Swansea, by the way. So whatever you say, I'm not. Chris Gunter, Mr. Reliable. And I've gone for Chris Repham from Bournemouth.
I like it. So I've gone Sean Morrison. No. I gone
Joe Bennett.
My centre. Yeah, 8. My 8 defenders. Is it 8? Yeah. So I gone for Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings.
I like Tyrone.
The boy in I can't remember the names. Kieran Trippier, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Ben Chilwell, and then I think, is that all of them, or is there one more? I think I got to name one more. I need another centre back, so I'd go with nice young English centre back. Who we got? I'll go with John Stones. I like John Stones. However,
you have to.
Someone who had an honourable mention, who nearly got into my team, was Fikayo Tomori.
From Chelsea. Chelsea getting beat, aren't they, tonight? But Man United are beating them 1-0.
Are they really? Who scored?
Yeah, Martial.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Joe Gomez would be my last one. That's who I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, right. My midfielders get interesting now. I've gone attacking. Gone attacking from this point onwards. I've gone Andy Campbell, shocker. Aaron Ramsey, Joe Allen, David Brooks, who I think he's a big fan of. I'm a big fan of. Daniel James, Tom Lawrence, Andy King, Tyler Roberts, and Johnny Williams from Charlton Athletic.
Good shout. So I've gone Mason Mount.
I like him.
Jordan Henderson, maybe. Actually, I'd take Jordan Henderson out a minute because he was like, ooh, I'm not a fan. Mason Mount, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden.
Interesting.
Dele Alli.
On current form, I'd agree with you.
Ross Barkley and Eric Dyer. Is that the right amount? 6?
Yeah, I've gone about 6. Yeah, if I've gone 6, I might have gone one more because I didn't have as many.
All right, okay. I'll name my 7th would be Declan Rice. To be honest with you, I would probably take Henderson for experience over Foden, maybe. Yeah. But they were my choices because I was going for youth.
Great shout. I like it. All right, my attackers going forward, scoring goals. I've gone for the obvious one. I've gone for Gareth Bale. I've gone for Kiefer Moore, Harry Wilson from Bournemouth. I've gone for Rabbi Matondo. I've gone for Ben Woodman, Liverpool and on Oxford. And finally, I've gone for Christian Doige from Hibs.
Not bad. So my 6, bearing in mind, I can't pick Raheem Sterling.
No.
I can't pick Rashford, and I can't pick Harry Kane. So my 6 are Jamie Vardy, Tammy Abraham, Jadon Sancho. So that's 3. And then I've gone for Mason Greenwood. That's 4. Callum Hudson-Odoi.
And Andy Campbell. Well done.
And Andy Campbell. And my 5th one is Ollie Watkins.
Ooh. You're just trying to lose, aren't you? I've definitely equalised here. If I haven't equalised here, I'm never coming back on here. I've definitely equalised tonight.
I don't know if Ian's in the live chat, see.
Definitely.
But I've gone for the young side, and you left out some really quality young Welsh players out of your squad. And Nico Williams.
Yeah, well, I know, but I still think it'd be interesting, because I really enjoy doing it because I'm going to keep it to see how many
get in
because giving players a chance size one thing, but because 23 is not a big squad at all, is it? It's not, you know what I mean? And Ryan's got a decision to make of, do I go with some experience to help along the way because it's going to be a tough campaign. It's going to be a bit of a slog for everybody, or do we go down the route of give young players an opportunity because they've got to grow now, and then in 4 years' time we go again. You know what I mean? So it's it's an interesting one, isn't it? How's he going to do it? You know what I mean? I didn't go Robson Kanu because I don't know. My thought process of, I know he says he's retired, but I believe if anyone can come out of retirement, you know what I mean? Especially in football, if Ryan Giggs turned around and said, I want you to run my 9 or be my number 9 going forward in the Euros, he's going to do it. But I've got to go on current value that he says he retired, so he's retired. But I'm
Shout,
interested.
mate,
I'm interested in the Christian Doidge one from Hibs because I watched Hibs on Sunday. I don't know who they were with. He got the 1-2-1. He didn't score, but I thought he did really well. I thought he led the line really well, and you know what I mean. He scored some big goals against some big sides, and I don't know, but because obviously I do this show, and obviously because of Wales, I followed Hibs on Twitter a couple of times, and they always make a big thing about that he's Welsh, and I don't know if they're trying to push him into the Welsh squad or trying to push him into that fold, but you know what I mean. His name pops up quite often at the minute because he's doing really well. So let's watch this space. I'll see.
Yeah, and one thing I also did during this is I was checking the nationality and parents and grandparents of Pereira from West Brom, who's unfortunately Brazilian, so I couldn't have him in my squad, and also Glick from Leeds, who I'm a big fan of, as you know.
Yeah.
But as far as I was aware, they didn't qualify. I was looking into their aunties, sisters, grandparents, but
yeah,
no luck.
I tried the same thing. I tried the same thing. I would look for Welsh heritage, but couldn't find any, unfortunately.
Right. So let's finish off with what everyone is waiting for, what everyone has come for. The soon-to-be award-winning 10-second segment, the greatest thing on radio, TV, internet history ever. Never built up too much. It is the Fake Geordie Bingo Lingo, where myself, or should I say, where Andy teaches myself something about his northern culture in preparation for my visit up north this year.
Well,
soon, in fact.
This isn't to scare you, Si. This is not to scare you. This is not to scare you one little bit. However, Middlesbrough was voted the second worst place to live in the UK. Believe it or not, behind.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to live there, so it's fine.
Behind Hull City, behind Hull, which I just can't believe. I just can't believe. You know what I mean? I've lived in Middlesbrough all my life, and it is one of the nicest places where I've lived and where I've lived all my life. So
in the posh, and you're in the posh bit, though, aren't you?
It's still Middlesbrough. It's still classed as Middlesbrough. It doesn't matter where it is. Where I live has been voted the second worst place to live. So you know what I mean. You get tired of the same brush, don't you? Everyone's got a nice place. Everyone's got a not nice place. So yeah, just so if anybody wants a cheap house, come and buy one in Middlesbrough. The prices will be rocketing up.
Yeah. So I might have a date fixed for when I'm going to come up, maybe, or a weekend fixed.
Oh,
so we'll do a in-person live show then.
Yeah, well, that'd be good. I'd like that. We'll do that. It'll be good fun.
It will be really good fun.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to build me a studio, mate. Come on.
We'll just bring your AA flag, and we'll do it. We'll do it during.
We'll find a place.
We'll find a nice pub. Who'll kit us out with a. Be like Alan Brazil's breakfast, whatever it is, with just loads of pints of Guinness and that.
Yeah, why not? Why the devil not? Guys, loads of shows coming up this week. Tomorrow night, I'm recording a new show with former Arsenal Cardiff City defender Reece Weston for the series My Story, where we go through people's careers and all different anecdotes throughout there. I'm also interviewing up-and-coming indie band The Crooks, who are exceptional and about to go on their sellout tour, and they release a new single next week. And loads of shows this week, 5 shows in total. Yeah, got undefeated Welsh boxer, I think on Friday, Cody Davis, maybe Thursday, coming out ahead of his fight Saturday. Got wrestling shows, MMA shows, MMA show on Wednesday with former Cage Warriors champion Danny Batten doing the Andy Campbell role of providing the analysis just without the northern twang. Gonna have to think of a little segment for him to do, innit?
Yeah.
The southern bingo lingo. I have to think of something better than that.
Southern softy bingo
loads
lingo.
Of good shows. Southern softy. Don't tell him.
Don't tell him I said that.
Don't
tell him I said that.
Guys, visit Andy Campbell on Twitter at Andy Campbell 32. You could visit him on Instagram, but he has different Instagram address just to make things difficult. We are now on Instagram as well, at ACEcast_nation on Instagram and Twitter, because, it makes sense to have them the same, so you can just post to all three at the same time.
Ooh,
not that I'm bitter. Not that I'm bitter. Not that I'm bitter.
No.
Facebook.com/ACEcastNation. All our shows are available in video format at youtube.com/AcePodcastNation and audio at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and a load of others, which I can't remember, but there's like pretty much every podcast in that platform that you can ever get, ever. And we're there. Please spread the word, drop a thumbs up on the video, as many comments and stuff as possible, helps us grow, and just gets the word out there as we hurtle towards 9,000 followers on Facebook. We are getting there slowly as we keep growing, and we keep getting wonderful, awesome guests, whether it's MMA fighters or footballers or cricketers or politicians we've had on, doctors, porn addicts, all sorts of stuff. Authors, who else we've had on? Writers, wrestlers. It's never ending. Journalists, podcasters, never ending. Andy, as usual, it has been a pleasure, mate.
My pleasure, mate. And this, this
beautiful logo.
Beautiful. That's what it's all about.
New logo. I'm going to post it on Instagram now as soon as we finish.
Yeah, do it.
Guys, thank you to everyone. Well. Guys, thank you to everyone who has joined us throughout the show, in and out, and dropped comments and likes, and people who've watched without signing in, so you don't give us the comments. I appreciate you too. Sign in though. Give us the credit. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next Monday, same time, 7 o'clock live, Facebook and I was going to say Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the bell so you get notified half hour before we upload, and go live.